Hello and welcome. So I wanted to begin a new series that I'm going to call the Weekly Contemplation, in which I am going to randomly select one card from each of my decks, and we are going to have a contemplation about each of these cards and what they mean to each individual person in various situations. Now, presumably, when I pull these cards, there's someone out here that needs to hear the message. It might not be you every time, but there is a lot to learn from the cards and what they represent and become familiar with them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get to know cards here and the different kinds of decks and the different purposes for them. So to begin today, you will see the first card I selected from my Wild Unknown Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks. It's wonderful. It comes with a phenomenal guidebook. If you are unfamiliar with the tarot, it's highly recommended for a beginner. Definitely recommend the Wild Unknown Tarot. And you will see that we have here the Six of Wands. The beautiful butterfly is rising up from above the bramble and the thorns. These wings are fully outstretched. This card signifies an individual who has gone through a tremendous amount of obstacles. They have experienced some difficulties, some struggles, maybe some total hurdles and hang-ups, maybe even completely been ripped off their path. And somehow they are still finding themselves able to rise above all of this. They're at a position where now they are finding themselves strong, powerful, but light at the same time, able to go anywhere they want to go. Where do you go now that you can go anywhere? What do you do next? This card shows you that it is time to relax and enjoy it. You overcame the odds. And so now you have to see what's next. The challenge is up, right? What's next? What's the next challenge? This next card is a card that I think a lot of people have a superficial understanding of, because we hear the word and we know what the word means, and so therefore we say, oh, this is a great card. This is a very intense card, actually. The Temperance card has a tremendously deep meaning for each person in their life. It shows up very often at numerous stages of our spiritual growth. So the people who are listening, who are perhaps a little bit more experienced in these things, say, yes, I understand the Temperance. But younger people perhaps haven't quite seen the value of this card, because it is hard. It's not an easy card. This is not a light and easy path when you are dealing with Temperance, when you are on that path. That path is to harden you. It is intentionally difficult. Because Temperance, if you see, she is balancing the positive and negative energies that flow through. And she's not just balancing them, she's using them to her power, to her advantage. They are making her stronger and smarter. It's not easy. No, it is very, very challenging work. And the slightest upset can cause serious problems. But the Temperance card is the card that makes you strong. It's the card that makes you indestructible. That's the one that hardens steel. So whatever path that you find yourself on when you come across this Temperance card, recognize that you are supposed to, do the proverbial grab the bull by its horns, handle it. Life is not always positive energy. Sometimes we are dealing with negative flows, and we have to learn to balance them, or they will throw us off guard. And the stronger you become and the more you learn this and the better you get at it with practice, the easier it is for you to look as confident as she is. She's not faltering. and neither will you when you master Temperance. The last card is from my Oracle deck. Mind you, that was the Golden Dawn deck that I pulled from in the second card. The third deck is my Spirit Animal Oracle. I am absolutely in love with these Oracle cards. If you're looking for an Oracle deck to start with, animal spirits are very intuitively easy to read by just looking at the imagery. The artwork is striking, and so shout out to the Spirit Animal Oracle artist. The book that comes along with it as well is such a joy to read. Such wonderful, expressive ways of explaining each card and what the author intended. And that's really important with an Oracle deck, for you to get to know the author's intentions behind it and then get to feel each card. So I always tell people, don't feel like you can't listen to the person that created the deck explaining it, or read the person explaining the deck as they intended, especially with an Oracle card, but any deck. You need to know where they come from in their background, so when you're reading these cards, they're reading to you clearly. Now, you'll get to know them and they'll speak to you in a way that you understand, but each deck has its own personality, and it's important to allow that to come through. Familiarizing yourself with the authors and the artists is a wonderful way to get to know the deck initially, especially if you're a little bit unsure and you're not really sure if you're reading it right. Do that first. Become familiar with it. So, the first card that I pulled from this deck for our first week is the Elephant Spirit. Elephant Spirit is really, really important. This is something that people they will find themselves on the same cycle over and over and over again and not understand why. This is why. Because they're not learning from the past. It's not just your past either. It's not just your past. It's learn from the past of your elders. Learn from the past of the people around you. How can you not learn from this? There's so much around you that you could learn from if you take it in, if you're willing to. And in order to learn, you have to acknowledge that you don't know it all and you are fallible. And of course, that's difficult, but the elephant is wise. The elephant has been here a few times, right? Memory matters. These things we are supposed to hold on to. It is a matter of, for one, it's a matter of respect. People go through things, and to forget them and to forget the lessons we should have learned from them is disrespectful. Especially if you see someone go through tremendous hardship. If you can't look at that person's life and what they're going through and gain something from it, what are you even looking at? There is lessons to be learned everywhere. These traditions, these experiences that have been, we've seen, and things that are passed down even from our ancestors, they shape us. They are a connective piece between us and history and our community. All of these experiences that came before you shaped them, who then shaped you. So this is a culmination of this legacy of learning and strength and dignity, and that is why it is important you respect it. We have to learn from our past, and when this card comes up, it's reminding you that you're not paying attention to that. This is how we understand where we are and where we're going. That's all the important stuff. And, sometimes we have to find a little bit of courage, and we have to make a decision that is the type of decision that's going to be remembered generations later. So the ancestors are asking you to consider your decision and make sure that you're making the right decision for not just you, but for those who come after you. So I hope you enjoy enjoyed this contemplation, as I said, I hope to do this on a weekly basis and work our way through different decks and different cards and combinations of them. For anyone who's interested in learning the tarot, or who's interested in learning the tarot a little bit more in depth from more of a modern realistic standpoint, and how I use this to give advice to people. If you enjoyed the video and you enjoy what I'm doing, please subscribe, like, comment, share. Those are awesome ways to help me out, and they are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to contribute in a further way, there's also some links to make donations of whatever you see as fit. This just helps me continue to take this time to educate and give guidance to people who need it, whether they can pay or not. And that's the point of these videos. That's the point of these readings. And I also offer readings to individuals with absolutely no obligation to pay ever. The reading is useless if it does not help them. So thank you so much for tuning in. I just want to throw a shout out to Chris Condi for the music in the background. The vibe is phenomenal. Thank you so much for your generous contribution to my videos. Please check out Chris Condi's music. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. It's absolutely nothing like you've ever heard before. Have a great day. Thank you.